I've been writing letters to homeschool moms for more than 2 decades. It started as a blog, my way of getting my own jumbled thoughts on paper and figuring out what I actually believed about this home education life that I'd chosen. The writing helped me get clear, and it turns out it helped a lot of other moms get clear too. That blog became a book, this book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. And the letters that I wrote at the end of that book, written directly to her, to you, that became something that I didn't stop doing. After each coaching session, I typically send an email or a letter to the mom, encouraging her to keep going and giving her clear, intentional steps for her next 2 weeks, because we typically meet every couple weeks. But here's what I'm going to do now, because I've written these letters at the end of this book and on my blog, Capturing the Charmed Life. I wrote those letters for years, and now I want to offer those letters to you. The kind of letter where I tell you exactly what I think you need to hear. No sugarcoating, I'm just going to be your no-nonsense girlfriend, but always kindness and always inspiration. This month's letter is about 8 things I see in almost every mom I work with. 8 things sitting just underneath the surface, making everything harder than it has to be. So let's start there. But first, I need to say something about you. Motherhood is one of the most beautiful callings on a woman's life, and that's how I see it. I say that not because I'm supposed to, but because I've lived it. I remember the moment I knew my first daughter, Hannah, was on her way. God's gift of grace, literally, that's what her name means. And I felt this fierce, overwhelming desire to do right by her, to love her, to raise her in a way that told her she mattered, that her emotions mattered, that her experience mattered, and that she had a place in this world. And I think that's part of the reason why you chose this lifestyle too, because you feel that same pull. You want to give your kids something real, something that tells them they're known and loved and seen. That desire is beautiful. I've personally never felt a deeper calling on my life than in motherhood. But here's what I also know. A lot of us are trying to give our kids something we were never given ourselves. We weren't raised in a space where our own needs mattered, where someone looked at us and said, yeah, you're human too. You have needs. Your inner life should be listened to. So we pour everything that we didn't receive into everything we want to give to them. And it's fierce. And it's beautiful. And it's also slowly emptying us out. Let me name what I see, and I want you to notice which one of the 8 things makes you feel like, I can breathe, I feel seen, because perhaps that thing is waiting to be named. The first thing is emotional and mental exhaustion, or just too muchness. You're pushing beyond your capacity most days. As one mom said, she feels like she's white-knuckling her days. Do you relate? You're absorbing everyone's stress like you're a sponge and they're the ocean. That's a lot of water. Your child's frustration with math or some other topic lands in your body. Their bad mood becomes your bad mood. And you're making so many decisions before noon, academic, relational, logistical. By evening, you don't feel like you have anything left. You're not treating yourself like a human being with needs. You're a mother, so you must serve. And that impulse is beautiful. Our world certainly needs mothers who love deeply. But you've disappeared in the process. This is what happens when one person carries more than one person was designed to carry alone. The second thing I often see is a lost sense of identity. You're so deep in the homeschool mom role that you've forgotten who you are beneath it. Think about the 8-year-old version of you, the one who had interests and rabbit trails that she wanted to follow, who wanted space to develop her own passions, who wanted a seat at her own table. That woman is still in you. And she's been sitting in the waiting room for years, wondering if anyone's going to come back for her. You are not just a homeschool mom. You are a woman with your own story, your own gifts, your own creative energies that need to be fueled too. You can have a seat at your homeschool table too. And when you honor that, becoming who you actually are at your core, you'll realize that you're doing it not just for you, but for your entire family. The third thing I've noticed is that moms often don't have a routine or a structure that really works. Sometimes you've tried the schedules, the planners, the systems, and either the approach to it has been too rigid and you're fighting it by Wednesday, or every morning feels like you're starting from scratch again. But most structure problems aren't really about the schedule or the plan. They're about not knowing what you truly need in order to function well and building your days around everyone else's needs instead. A rhythm that actually works starts with understanding how you're wired, what depletes you, what genuinely refills you. The fourth thing I've noticed is that you don't have a burnout prevention plan, but you do have a loss of motivation. You started this journey on fire. You had a vision. You believed in what you were building. Now you're just trying to survive the week. Your passion is gone, and guilt has moved into the space it left. Guilt that you're not enthusiastic about this thing anymore. Guilt that you're failing your kids by being tired or not being as engaged as you once were with the older kids. Guilt that you even feel this way to begin with when you're the one that chose this. Burnout isn't a character flaw. It's just a signal that points back to you not factoring yourself into your own life. You're not on your to-do list. The fifth thing I see is that there's a lot of decision fatigue or mental fog. There's so many questions that never stop, but you have to answer. And you've chosen to be responsible for so many. Like what curriculum? Which approach? Am I covering everything? Am I behind? Are they behind? Is this enough? Should I be doing more? Are they okay? Am I okay? The mental load of this homeschool life can be staggering. And I really didn't see that when I was in it, even though I definitely experienced it, because that's why I'm here. But I didn't understand that it wasn't just me experiencing it. The common denominator for the homeschool mom experience is that A, she knows that this life is amazing and offers so much to her kids and herself, and B, it's a lot. The mental load of homeschooling is a lot. And when you're already exhausted, the questions that you're accountable for, that you feel responsible for, they pile up, but they cloud everything like the fog. Sometimes it's hard to think clearly, let alone ask yourself, what am I even thinking? I don't have time to think two thoughts in a row because other people are asking me stuff, like other little people. And sometimes because other people are questioning your choice in the first place, you begin to question yourself. And sometimes because you've never practiced listening to what you want and what you need, you're not practiced in listening to the steady voice underneath all the noise. The sixth thing I often notice with homeschool moms is that they have a sense of isolation, the moms that come to me. And no, I'm not talking about kids not being socialized. Nope. Moms are bringing kids everywhere. They're doing things for them all the time. They're driving them hither and yon. There are way many more opportunities for extracurriculars and social opportunities and part-time jobs and youth groups and you name it for kids than any kid in school, because kids in school just don't have as much time as kids inside the homeschool space. But mom, she's driving those kids back and forth, and she's hanging out waiting in the parking lot in the minivan until that child is done. She's not always building the necessary community that she needs. As a homeschool mom, you've stepped outside the ready-made, though not necessarily connected community that comes with it. But why it's even more lonely? Because you don't have a lot of support. And there are some deeply challenging aspects to this lifestyle, but you're often defending your choice to homeschool. You still want a place to complain about how things aren't going well without someone telling you to just put the kids back in school like that's some sort of panacea for challenges with your children. There's a deeper loneliness in feeling unseen, like no one in your regular life truly understands what you're living. You're always explaining yourself, always defending your choices, always feeling a little bit on the outside. Connection isn't just important for your kids. It's important for you too. The seventh thing I see is that you had a reason for choosing this lifestyle. You had a vision, something that made you say yes to this path when so many people around you were asking, why are you doing this? But somewhere in the daily grind of lesson planning and doing the laundry and trying to keep everyone okay and not ripping each other's heads off, your needs and your emotions got buried. Now you're doing the things, you're executing the tasks, you're getting through the day, but you don't feel like you're alive. You're not living with purpose. And you can feel the difference even if you can't name it. Reconnecting with why you're doing this doesn't just reignite your motivation. It reorients you, helps you to see that you can start each morning, respond when things fall apart instead of react. You can build a life intentionally. The eighth thing I see is that you have a hard time saying no. Or maybe you can say no, but it costs so much to say no that you usually just say yes instead. And that might mean that you're saying yes to doing one more volunteer activity or helping with the co-op. Or in one recent conversation, I learned that one mom had a hard time saying no to more than 2 Bible studies. She was doing 6 Bible studies. Now she's doing 2 Bible studies. I told her that definitely takes the cake. Haven't heard that many. Tell me in the comments if you have experienced that or heard somebody do more than that. I'd love to hear. But it's not just Bible studies or homeschool co-ops or all the possible activities that you might be participating in. It's also your kids. You have a hard time saying no to your kids. And of course you do, because you want to do this life for them. You want to give them all the opportunities. But it turns out you feel like you can't disappoint anyone without feeling like you've failed. And quietly underneath it all, your resentment is building. Which brings its own guilt, because you shouldn't feel resentful to the ones that you decided to do this thing for, right? You love these people more than anyone in the world, and you don't want to feel that way about them. I've learned that boundaries are necessary in the homeschool mom life. They're what make it possible for you to show up with energy, genuinely, generously, and without resentment. Learning to set boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for everyone in your life, including you. There was a mom that came to work with me. Her name was Sherry. She's a homeschool mom of 4, and she'd been homeschooling for a very long time. And she said, you know what I'm really looking for is just hope. Just hope. Hope. That's where she was at. And by the time we finished coaching, she said, you know what? And not just hope. You didn't just give me hope, but you also gave me a soothing place to feel like I could really process the hard things. I could sit with you and ultimately not just feel heard, but feel like what I said mattered, that you were going to give me ideas that were genuinely helpful for me. And it was okay if I didn't take them. It was okay if I pursued them, but they needed to align with who I really was. She said that she was amused by my sense of humor. Didn't know that about myself until the last few years, that people think I'm funny. And soothing, that my voice is peaceful. Not sure the kids always think that, but I have heard that on repeat from parents. She shared that working with me was really useful because it helped her to get sight of herself again, because she'd lost sight of herself, because she lives this busy life and she wants to refocus on what's really important. And she did. She said, I was looking for hope, and it's given me hope. Deflated women like Sherry, or maybe deflated women like you, can change that defeat into delight. That is the work of this homeschool mom life. You're invited to do that personal work so that you're not challenged by these 8 things that you've heard me speak to today. And if you've heard yourself in any of these 8 things that I mentioned today, even if it's just one thing, I want you to know that the hope is available to you too. Here's where I'd love to start with you. I offer something called the Aligned Homeschool Reset Session. It's a one-on-one conversation, just you and me on Zoom, no group. You don't have to try to be someone that you're not. I can be your no-nonsense girlfriend, the woman that's listening, really holding your story. And I also don't have any skin in the game. I'm not watching what's going on in your home, though so many moms feel so seen by me that they think I am. I'm not. But I've lived it, and I know what it's like. I've been there. I've done that. You can join me so you feel seen and heard and understood in this homeschool mom life. In that session, we start by getting honest about what's actually underneath the challenges that you've been feeling, not the surface stuff that you talk about at co-op or forest school, the real weight of the challenge. I'll walk you through those 8 things that we just talked about today, and we'll find the ones that are sitting heaviest for you right now. Then we look ahead. Where do you actually want to be in your homeschool and in your life? Just 3 months from now, where do you want to be? What would it feel like to wake up and genuinely want to show up for this life? We'll build that picture together. And then I'll offer you one honest reflection, something I see in you that you may not be able to see yet yourself. Not necessarily a technique or a tool, just the truth of what I notice, offered with care. I think this is a crossroads conversation. The kind of conversation where you stop just reacting in your life and you start reflecting and beginning to expand your vision on what things could be, what your homeschool mom life could be, the kind of life that Sherry described, the kind that changes things. If you're ready for that conversation, that link to book your Aligned Homeschool Reset session is in the show notes. Just come as you are. That's the only requirement. I offer space on Tuesday afternoons and Friday of this week. And you know what? I've got a space available on Friday. So why don't you find the link and join me? I want to leave you with this. I want to reinforce this every single time. Because here's what I see. You're so not doing life the way you want in this homeschool mom life that you think you're failing. You're not failing. You're probably carrying too much. Those are 2 very different things. The version of you that your kids need most, present, purposeful, at peace, she does not show up when you try harder. She shows up when you finally give yourself permission to matter. The world needs all of you, not just the mother part, the whole woman. That's what this letter was intended for. That's what every letter that I share with you is really all about. I'll write you another one next month. In the meantime, the show notes are below. I'd love to see you Friday. Are you going to book time with me and Meredith? You've been hanging out with me for a while? Yeah. I guess we're all done. We'll see you Friday.